Guest joining us is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate of the Supreme Court, is joining us. Kapil Badan, advocate and political analyst, is with us. Also with us is Imran Ahmed Ali, lawyer and political analyst. Let me start with you first. Kapil Badan, you would recall that during the course of the hearing of the Aircel-Maxis case, it is Mr. P. Chidambaram who himself, through his lawyers had argued the case. And this is in the November of 2024, that the entire process has not been followed because the enforcement directorate has not obtained the prosecution sanction. So now that the prosecution sanction has been obtained and we are seeing the timing being questioned by others, is that really a valid argument? Because this is something that he himself has raised.
Madhav, I always made a very, very consistent stand. It is the prerogative of any investigative agency to have a fair trial. And one of the facets of a fair trial is a speedy trial. Now, what happens is that, the facts which you already know and your viewers already know. And let me just give a very, very quick recap to our viewers that this alleged transaction pertains to the year 2006 and 2007. In this case, if I'm not wrong, FIR was registered in 2011. Now, after almost 15 years in 2026, you get the time. You realize that there is a process of law. There is a procedure under which you are required to obtain a sanction. And the sanction will be produced before the trial court, and thereafter the trial will progress. Don't you think so? Once you have, once you waste so much time in, keeping these litigations pending, you lose public faith and confidence. And, the people also realizes that these investigating agencies work at the whims and the fancies of their political masters. The question is very, very obvious. And in fact, any rational mind would any rational mind in the country would want, there cannot be any justification of any corruption. There cannot be any justification of any wrongdoing. But the fact remains, you keep the pot simmering, you don't complete the trial, you don't get the documents and the section for 16 years, you will keep it pending for another 30 years. They will name at least 150, 200 witness. Once you take 16 years to get sanctioned, do you realize how much time they will require to complete this trial? I can tell you safely, not less than 15 more years. I would
beg to slightly disagree on the facts, because the ED launched its probe in the INX media case, the same case of which the prosecution sanction that we are discussing today, in the year 2017. And therefore, certainly, even 9 years is not a short period of time. So I'm taking your point, Kapil Madan, and I'm putting it across to Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, the theme of what Kapil Madan is saying, the crux of it, is a significant one. He says that since the case has been on since 2017, is there a pattern to keep the pot boiling, to stretch and drag cases? And in this particular case, if it was launched in 2017, why did it take 9 long years to actually get the prosecution sanction? Sanju Verma.
Madhav, there I durust hai, but I'm not going to take the easy way out. Yes, process can be a punishment very often. But let me make one very important point, because I don't want your audience to be misled by the Congress Darbari ecosystem. Oh, 7 साल हो गए, 9 साल हो गए, 16 साल हो गए, 25 साल भी हो जाए तो फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Guilty need to be nailed and they need to be behind prison bars. I will tell you this. The CBI FIR was initially filed in October 2011. It also filed charge sheet in both INX Media and in the Aircel-Maxis case. Then, once the Modi government took charge, the CBI filed another FIR in 2017, and the charge sheet was filed in the Aircel-Maxis case in 2018, and the INX-Maxis case, the charge sheet was filed in 2021 at the behest of the special PMLA court. Then the Supreme Court stepped in, and the Supreme Court quoted the Bibhav Acharya case and said that before the charge sheet, there has to be a mandatory prosecution that has to be placed before the judicial authorities. And hence, the Enforcement Directorate has done precisely that. But no matter how tedious, how cumbersome, how lengthy the process is, and I'm sure Ishkaran knows that better than any of us on this panel, the fact of the matter is this: was there gratification illegally, which was availed by Karti Chidambaram and P. Chidambaram? Yes. In the case of INX Media, the proceeds of crime were to the tune of 66 crore approximately. But one thing which I need to draw your attention to, Madhav, in the Aircel-Maxis case, the bribe that Karti Chidambaram took was supposedly to the tune of 1.16 crore. But that is not the big story. The big story is that the Aircel-Maxis case saw an FDI investment in 2011 to the tune of 3,566 crore.
Okay.
The approval was given by P. Chidambaram, whereas he had the authority to give approval to the tune of only 600 crore as per rules framed by the CCEA.
Be that as it may, I'm not going to get into a debate on the facts surrounding this case, but we're currently discussing the FIPB clearance.